Hey guys, welcome back to another obscure, well, sort of obscure, toy lines from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. So this week we're going to take a look at another 6 obscure toys, and we're going to start this off with Reboot by Irwin in 1994. So Reboot was a Canadian television show that originally aired on YTV, and subsequently I just noticed that Netflix actually tried to reboot in 2015, and it only lasted about 10 episodes. So basically, Reboot is a series that followed the Guardian named Bob and his friends Enzo and Dot Matrix, and their job is to keep their computer system city called Mainframe safe from viruses known as Megabyte and the Hexadecimal. The toy line sold rather well. It actually saw a few series including 3-inch figures, 5.5-inch figures, and even 12-inch figures, along with a few micro playsets. Star Wars Droids by Kenner, 1986. So these toys were based off the cartoon series of the droids and Ewoks. So in 85, when everyone thought Star Wars was done, the toy line was finished, Kenner had to find a new cash cow. So based off of the cartoons that had come out for, again, the Ewoks and the droids, they started producing these new Star Wars figures. So the notable thing is they were much more bright and colorful, they were a lot bulkier, and they would come with different accessories, capes, gun belts, and different weapons. Definite potential for the toy line, but like the cartoon, it just never took off. Universal Monsters Marx 1964. I found another set of Universal Monsters. Again, this is Sans commercial, so we had to go through a YouTuber, and big thank you to Brain of Blood for his quick review of the 1964 Marx Monsters, and I will link his video down in the descriptions if you'd like to see that. So unlike their Remco cousins, the Marx Universal Monsters came as one solid color, and obviously they were not glow in the dark. And there was no articulation in the limbs, but these are miniature statues and the amount of detail in them are incredible. The characters that you would have is the Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, the Mummy. Strangely enough, Dracula never made the cut. Megaforce from Kenner, 1989. So Megaforce was a semi-successful toy line for Kenner, but strangely enough it was discontinued after its first series. So basically the entire line was based on war, specifically between two countries or warring factions, the Tracks and the V-Rocks. So all these military vehicles were unlike any other war toy that we had seen before because they had these huge rolling fortresses and flying command centers. The toys were pretty realistic, made out of durable die-cast, and for any Megaforce that's still out there, collections can be had for, you know, a pretty meager budget. Major Matt Mason by Mattel, 1966. Major Mason was an astronaut toy released by Mattel in the late 60s. He was based on realistic astronaut suits at the time, but as the toy line progressed, they tried to go more into the science fiction realm. The toy itself had great articulation. All the astronaut action figures shared a common body type, which was molded of rubber-like material called plastisol. The body was also molded over a wire armature with a separate attachment for the head, so you got good joint movement at the knee and elbow as well. You know, if I was a kid growing up in the 60s, I'd definitely play with this toy. A 3-story high moon base? That's awesome! Steel Tech by Azrak, 1992. SteelTech to me reminds me of one of those toys that, you know, every boy got sometime at one Christmas or one birthday. It's just one of those construction put together toys. Now they did have some licensing deals, because you see here the commercial is featuring Star Wars and the Millennium Falcon, but basically SteelTech was a metal construction toy very similar to Mechanico. It uses a combination of metal and plastic parts that were held together by metal screws, and you were even given a screwdriver with most sets to put it together. And like I mentioned, licensing deals aside, there was literally hundreds of different sets you could collect. And like I mentioned, I'm not sure if it was SteelTech, that brand, but I know I've had a set like this before in my lifetime. And that's going to do it for another episode of Obscure Toy Lines. Well, sort of obscure toy lines from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. This was episode 32. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If there's anything you had as a child, let me know down in the comments. And if there's something that I have not covered yet, you know, 320 plus toy lines now, please, again, let me know down in the comments as well, because I take everyone's suggestions. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you in a week.